DreamHack Open is brought to you by Intel, Corsair, MSI, and Monster Energy.
The Great Danes are stepping up to the plate here next at DreamHack Open Fall, but will they get stung by the Frenchmen of Vitality as they both fight for the grand final spot? Joining me to see exactly how this one is going to be playing out, it's Maui and Blair. Now, Maui, I know we've got to be a bit careful with you, you know, you just got your heart broken by Fnatic. Are you feeling okay to be up here on the desk?
Aww. It's tough, but I'll live, I'll survive. That's just the life of an analyst. Sometimes you'll make a bold prediction and sometimes it doesn't work out. You've got to move on, take in the new data and make a new prediction in the future.
Exactly, move on we will indeed, Blair. As this next matchup is going to be an absolute banger to be rounding out our day here.
Absolutely. These two teams are the best looking teams so far in the tournament. The winner is going to be moving on to the finals. I'm looking forward to fantastic Counter-Strike.
It's going to be fantastic indeed. But before we move on to delving into the game at hand, Frankie has got a quick message for us. So let's check in with her.
Are you an expert in European Counter-Strike? And have you always dreamed of being part of a DreamHack event? Well, we are giving you the opportunity to put yourself forward to join myself and Blair on the desk at the next DreamHack Open, which is taking place from the 26th to the 29th of November. If you'd like to put yourself forward, then all you need to do is email csgo@dreamhack.com, maybe attach a video of your work and give us some examples of what you've been up to in the past, why you think you fit the bill. And of course, if you've got a picture of a dog that you own, I don't think that Google Images counts, then attach that too for extra brownie points. Hopefully, I'll be working with you on the desk in November and I cannot wait to meet you. But remember, DreamHack at the moment is a bring your own tea event, so stock up and I'll see you soon.
Fantastic opportunity to be getting involved here at DreamHack Open. Blair and Frankie are absolute angels to be working with, so make sure you're getting those emails in if you want to secure your spot at the desk. But having said that, we need to delve into this playoff bracket. Just in case you guys have missed out on any of the action today, it's been absolutely jam-packed. Maui, as we saw together in the green room, unfortunately Fnatic being knocked out, and that lower bracket still looking very, very scary, looking at that Heroic versus NIP game.
Yeah, I think the surprise here is definitely NIP getting this far in the tournament. This is the first tournament that Nuke is back and incorporated in the lineup. And really every single game, it feels like they're getting better and better and better. So it's really impressive and surprising to see them there. And I think that they may surprise Heroic actually in that lower bracket finals.
Full of surprises indeed, but no surprise is our next game. It's going to be Astralis taking on Vitality, an absolute banger to determine who will be going straight to the RMR Grand Final, no less. And Blair, I'm wondering what you're thinking of the maps this is going to be played out on.
I don't see these two teams trying anything too crazy, so Mirage Train should be banned out by default. I believe Astralis is going to be banning out Mirage, Vitality with Train. The picks. Astralis have shown they have the best Nuke. The only team they don't pick it against is going to be Heroic, who have beaten them on Nuke, right? So Nuke should be picked by Astralis. Vitality, I'm thinking Vertigo, but Maui had a very good point. Dust 2 has looked very shaky for Astralis recently, so Dust 2 will be the pick from Vitality. And if I'm not, I don't think I'm going to be surprised if Overpass is going to be the decider. It's a map where both the teams have 100% win rate recently. Nuke, Dust 2, Overpass. This is going to be fantastic. I think it's a map which Astralis are fantastic on. Nuke, Vitality can play it. Dust 2, Astralis have looked shaky, but it is Astralis we're talking about. This one's going to be a banger.
It is going to be a banger every step of the way. And I think we've got to talk about the first step, which is going to be Nuke, Maui. Obviously, we're talking about Astralis here on that Nuke. The only team rather they're too afraid to be playing against is obviously Heroic, who also have an incredible win percentage. But looking at it here, it's clear why Astralis are picking this in.
Yeah, definitely. Astralis have looked really good on it here. They're undefeated at DreamHack Open Fall right now. They've taken down Godsent, they've taken down G2. But on the other side, actually, you can't really count Vitality out on this one. Even though their win rate doesn't look that good right here, they've actually played this map 3 times at this very tournament. And in 3 different matches, they've only given up a total of 18 rounds, 6 rounds every single time. One of those against Mousesports, Fnatic, and NIP. So this is actually shaping up really nicely. I think Vitality has actually worked a lot on their Nuke, so this should be a great game.
And before we get into the nitty-gritty of this one, it's time to get inside one of the minds in this server. And which better mind to be getting into than that of Gla1ve?
They've thrown on a Molotov. Get a move one outside of that. He will have a lineup, and there's a double spray.
Gla1ve, thank you so much for joining me. I'd want to ask how you're doing because I've not seen you for a while.
I'm doing good, thank you. It has been great to be back after my 3 months break. So yeah, winning one tournament and now getting into the upper bracket final in the other one. So yeah, I'm pretty happy.
Usually you come up trumps against Vitality when you play them. This time around, Vitality, they're looking really strong. How do you rate your chances against them?
I feel like every time we play Vitality, they are looking really strong, and then when we meet them, we find like another gear, and we are playing strong as well.
To have a big moment, and his Brolan in mid-air with the Tech 9, it shuts him out. But Aegis, the new brain.
I mean, the last few times, I think we have been beating them on Dust 2, but I think that they will probably pick it. So yeah, that's gonna be a tough map for us, of course.
Currently waiting with the CT side. S-Tag should be more than good enough to suppress him. Also, Gla1ve is making...
I mean, we beat them the last few times, so maybe we can do it again, right?
Or you could just learn Mirage.
Yeah, we'll see about that.
Thank you for talking to me, Gla1ve. Always a pleasure.
Thank you.
But they need to go pick this up first. Gla1ve comes in with 2, keeps spraying them.
A confident Gla1ve coming into this one. I think it's an interesting point to be starting off on, Blair, as obviously we've learned that Magisk is still calling as the primary in-game leader for this squad, and having Gla1ve as your secondary kind of backup caller here, you got 2 pretty big brains in that server.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, having Gla1ve as a backup caller is just ridiculous if you think about it, right? But for me, I just want to see what an unchained Gla1ve can do. We know he can frag. We know what he can do in the server apart from calling, and without the pressure of having to call. And Magisk, if you ask me, he's been doing a fantastic job. I think he's going to be definitely an X factor for this team right now. And I'm looking forward to this matchup because I believe this is going to be the first real true test for the side of the Danes.
Yeah, and speaking of which, I kind of wanted to touch upon dupreeh here, Maui, because we've really seen him stepping up to the plate when he's needed to most, and he's just been looking very reliable throughout this whole tournament.
Yeah, definitely. dupreeh has been in excellent form. It feels like anytime someone's on dupreeh's screen, they die within half a second every single time. And I love that point that Gla1ve brought up, that this really feels like the first time that Astralis is truly being challenged. And what better way to set up a grand finals than this matchup? Because both of these teams right now are in excellent form, and Astralis, they're showing these just very slight weaknesses here and there. Vitality, I feel like they've just been dominant throughout most of these games. I think the only map they dropped was against Fnatic, if I'm not mistaken, at this tournament. And that is just, I mean, this is all set up so nicely right now. Both of these teams have players that are in excellent form, and it's not just always the usual stars. Of course, we'll be getting to Vitality in a moment, but really, I've noticed at all points of this tournament that different players on this Astralis lineup are popping off.
Yeah, and I think it was a nice way that you put it, Blair. Obviously, S-Tag, this is his swan song, right? This is the last tournament that he'll be with this Astralis lineup. But he's still been putting in the work, and it looked, he was so instrumental in the Fnatic game, no less, which was probably the biggest test that we've seen for Astralis so far.
Yeah, it was a pretty big test, but then again, I mean, the wins were pretty convincing, right? They beat Fnatic on Inferno, which is spectacular. They also beat them on Overpass with drubbing coming out from them. Yeah, for Estetag, I like the fact that, you know, it's kind of a swan song. It's kind of like a nice storyline going on over there for him. And he's been kind of instrumental. The cool thing about Astralis is when we started the tournament, Dupree was a guy we were like, oh my god, this guy's activated. But then as the tournament progressed, everyone stepped up. It's like the classic Astralis, no star players, so to speak, because all 5 of them are stars.
Well, another lineup full of stars. It's going to be Vitality, and Frankie had a chance to chat with Apex ahead of this one.
I've got a very happy Apex joining me. It's understandable because he's in the upper bracket final against Astralis with Vitality. Vitality was the only team in the DreamHack Open full with all its members in a positive rating, but the nades weren't looking so hot. Is that simply just because that's not really a focus for Vitality at the moment, Apex?
I don't know exactly. Depends the style we play on games. Sometimes we use it pretty well, sometimes we don't, so it just depends.
In a world where the counter-terrorists have some guns, then those, oh my god, RPK aces.
As you can see, we didn't need it to go pretty far in this tournament, and that's what is the most important.
So you're going up against Astralis. Shox
Yep.
admits that normally when you face Astralis, something goes wrong. Do you know what that thing is?
No, to be honest, I have no idea. I feel like as a team, overall, they have like way more experience than us, as in videos and as a team. I don't really care to face them again. I'm just telling myself that we're gonna play our game, and if we keep playing like that, it's gonna be a tough one for sure.
Incendiary in hand. Masuda with the gun out, and he gets himself 2 kills, 3 kills.
I think you played amazingly against Big, so I'm very excited to see what happens when you play Astralis. Thank you very,
Me too.
very much, Apex.
Thank you.
A and B. Worldwide. Oh my goodness. That is money in the bag.
As you mentioned, Maui, Vitality have been looking so strong throughout this entire tournament. And what's been really nice to see is it hasn't always been the ZywOo show. We've actually been seeing all 4 of the other players stepping up to the plate when they need to most. And it's great to see coming out of a squad that we talk so highly of.
Yeah, definitely. It feels like Vitality is becoming the complete package. They are supporting ZywOo at times, but also RPK has also found a really nice stretch of form here at this tournament in particular.
Yeah, he has indeed. And I want to speak about Shox briefly as well, because I know, I believe it was with you, Blair. We talked to him after one of their games, and he was saying that he's started to feel more comfortable in this lineup. We can really see those results translating onto the server in terms of his comfort level within the squad.
Yeah, that's the thing with Shox, right? Like, we see God Shox, or it's, well, a Shox who doesn't really show up. He needs to be on his A form here in this particular matchup. But when you talk about comfort in this team, for me, the guy has to be Masuda, right? As the days have progressed, as he has played more and more games in this lineup, he seems to be just kind of easing into this role which he's playing for this lineup. And yeah, I think Masuda is kind of like the unsung hero and it's kind of easy to be unsung when you have players like an RPK, like an Apex, ZywOo, and Shox around you. But I think he's going to be a very key component in this matchup as well.
Yeah, and we've been hearing from Apex himself, you know, him actually integrating into the team a little bit more, obviously one of the young stars of the team. And I'm interested to hear what you're kind of thinking of going into this Dust 2, Maui, because we heard Astralis saying that they were expecting this to be being picked out into this. So where are we going to be focusing on for Vitality coming into that map?
Ooh, you know that they're going to try to replicate the success that we saw G2 have against Astralis. A lot of that was just taking cat control early on, not relying too much on those early kind of 50-50 long fights. G2 was much more satisfied with just finding that mid control because it just opens up the entire map for you. Whether you want to go for a cat exec or you want to do a mid to B split, both of those options are really just attained once you find that space towards catwalk.
And of course, we've got a head-to-head for you for this matchup as well. And Blair, we've picked out Shox and Gla1ve to be compared ahead of this one. So what are we making of these two players?
Well, it's pretty simple, right? We talk about Gla1ve. He's the guy coming to this tournament as a secondary caller, which is, we've said it over and time again, how surprising it is. And for him to be unleashed without the shackles of having to be the in-game leader, I want to see what he can deliver as the pressure starts to mount as we head towards the finals. On the other side, you have, of course, Monsieur Shox. That's all I have to say. It's Shox. he is going to be, I feel like, the difference maker. Whether they, even if ZywOo performs at his highest level altogether, I think Astralis have the overall everything to counter ZywOo. But if Shox steps up as well, then we're talking.
Yeah, I think that's why we've seen Vitality being so consistent throughout this tournament, is because they haven't always been relying on ZywOo in those key moments. Everybody has been stepping up to the plate. And with that, I think we can begin to be cementing our predictions. Maui, I'm coming to you first. Who are you siding with?
Man, it's hard not to pick him, but I've got to do it. Astralis here, and it kind of pains me to say it because Vitality have found some excellent form lately, but Astralis, they're just the complete picture, and you know that they've worked on their Dust 2 since the last time they played it.
Yeah, I think that is a fair point. Blair, who are you going with for this one?
Looking at the stats of the tournament, Vitality are number one in every single thing, but I'd have to be stupid not to pick Astralis. They're just the number one team. Astralis all the way.
Oh, my head and my heart is totally torn, and you guys know how much I love a split death, so I'm going to be going with Vitality. I want this one to be bringing the heat here, but I am hoping that we get to see the full 3 maps out of both of these squads, because they've been looking so hot so far at this tournament. But of course, we've got to check in with what Twitch chat thinks as well. Let's get up our poll and see exactly where they're siding. Oh man, that's not a feels good, man, after I've seen that. But you know what? I'll be in there Twitch chat with you. That 26% will be rooting for the Frenchmen together. And I think with that settled, it is time to be getting right into it. Our final game of the day, and one that is promising to deliver on every level, as only one will catapult themselves straight to that grand final here at DreamHack Open Fall. Is it written in the stars, or can Vitality pull the plug? We'll find out after this.
A real privilege of Counter-Strike is coming right up. The 2 best teams in the world, many would argue, about to do battle and lock horns. And myself and Tom will be bringing you all the action. Tom, I cannot wait to get into this game, especially with those maps.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like this is going to be an exciting one. I think obviously we've seen some fantastic games from Astralis on Nuke recently, like really proving their dominance once again. I'm also hoping and praying that we get the prime versions of some of these players, like prime Shox in this tournament. Like some of the maps he's had have been truly phenomenal. I want to see Masuta firing on all cylinders, the young gun for Vitality, because let's be honest, Vince, for them to win this match, they're going to need those prime players. And there's one man whose name I haven't mentioned on that team. I don't really think I need to, but obviously we're going to need ZywOo at his best.
Well, we definitely saw glimpses of that earlier in the tournament. It was Fnatic that ran into him on Mirage. RPK, though, breaking the deadlock, drawing the first blood in our best of 3. And Device will come straight back in and make sure the tank has been decommissioned, at least momentarily. That 4v4 opens up a few avenues now on the side of the Danes to push downstairs with. Apex is all alone, but now being joined by ZywOo. But Astralis, with so much time left, they can pick and choose where they go next. They don't have to fully commit or force their way in. And Gla1ve is getting information for his teammates. And maybe if he can cull one of these defenders, the likes of Shox, that opens up a lot of leeway to push onto the site. That's exactly what comes into play. And now Astralis spill out onto A site.
This is a beautifully played pistol round from Astralis. Like, we know that Gla1ve isn't always calling anymore. It seems like he's put his extra time into being Mr. Sneaky, because he's managed to get right in behind them, do the damage onto the one remaining defender, even pull some of the rotations over to the other side of the map. And Astralis are going to take themselves the pistol round. Now, going into this, we're going to talk some statistics for just a moment. Astralis, over the last few months, have a 93% win rate. So in comparison, we've got Vitality currently 44. It looks rough, right? Statistically, it's not a good look for Vitality. But in this tournament, they have played it 3 times versus Mouse Sports, Fnatic, and NIP, and won every single one 16-6. We've seen from the matches even we've casted previously that they look like they've definitely put some work into this map. And I'm looking forward to seeing if Vitality have done enough, because that's the thing. Putting work into a map, improving yourself versus some of the other teams in this tournament, that's one thing. Beating Astralis, who are currently the final boss of this map, or, well, maybe them and Heroic are two both up there at the same time. If you can beat either one of those, then I'm starting to get excited about your Nuke.
There's a lot of tests and obstacles in the way, Tom, as you said, and some storylines that come alongside it. And let's be honest, this could easily be a major finals right here between these two teams. They're absolutely at the very pinnacle of Counter-Strike. Essetag will probably a few points to prove on his way to what he will be hoping is greener pastures. Gla1ve, though, has taken down ZywOo, and with his life, a lot of danger will be looming. That being said, though, Astralis are dealing with quite a bit of damage themselves. They've taken shots onto Gla1ve and Dupree. Apex forced out of the L-bend. Has to turn tail and run away with his 3 HP. 35 seconds allocated to the T's, and they're only just starting to get a move down. Shox, who's had some beautiful performances over the duration of the tournament, could be another player to look out for. And now that time is starting to dwindle away that little bit more, and Gla1ve will be caught in the backside. This is looking great for Vitality. They have the player advantage. Astralis still need to get on the site. They still need to get the bomb down, but Apex has been spotted. And his leg just round the corner will be taken off. 7 seconds to go. Planting for main, but Device has Dupree covered and locked down. And now the 2 CTs spring into action. Device runs out of ammunition, and RPK's been put down to a measly 20 HP. But Dupree, his position is still unknown, untenable, and should be the final nail in the coffin for this. Vitality very unlikely to get RPK up onto that site with a full defusal. And of course, the bomb is planted for Dupree, who's just spotted RPK, just a pixel around the corner. He won't snatch at this opportunity. He'll wait for the perfect moment and then will strike. 2-0. Vitality did a lot of damage, Tom, but it was a force buy.
Yeah, a hell of a lot invested into this round, but at the same time, that was a really nice attempt from them. I like the patience to wait for the double peak while they only had SMGs at the end, because you're not going to win the battles at range. And ultimately, they played that very well, especially the likes of RPK, Shox as well, doing quite a bit of damage. Unfortunately, it all sort of comes to naught now, because we're going to see a reinvestment into SMGs. Nothing can be purchased up by Vitality, and sure, going into the next round, they'll at least have done some damage, but chances are this is where Astralis now go on to build up some cash, make that bank look a lot better than maybe it deserves to be after that last round.
Absolutely, and they're charging in their SMG wielders. It's all 3 kills going to Essetag and Device, who had the MAC-10s. They will be trading up or across to Essetag now. Magisk drops his AK so that he can now go in, take point. And of course, they can hold on to these 2 MAC-10s if they do survive out of the round and use it as a bit of a bonus. And just rip and tear into Vitality, who only have Apex left. Do have the funds for a goodbye, the Frenchman, in round 3. But this map starting off pretty much as we'd have expected. Astralis fast out of the gates, and Vitality, ever the threat, not quite able to convert their chances. Apex going in late. Not going to find anybody, not going to be able to take anybody down. So he will keep his Deagle, and now they can go in for a buy, and it will include an AWP. ZywOo with more than enough funds to justify picking one up.
This is where they need to get off to their start, though, Vince, because I think something we've learned about Astralis' Nuke, it is not necessarily that their CT side is the most terrifying thing in the world. It's good. It's very, very good. But it's their T side. That's where they've been able to pull off so many rounds, the switch-ups in pace, just how dynamic they are. It's a fast attempt. I like the change. Just rush into the site. You know that's going to be a little bit cagey for Vitality in these sort of moments, only getting their first purchase on the board, and you having some SMGs. So you just run in, body them. They took a lot of damage along the way, but it really doesn't matter. And this is the one thing that makes Nuke somewhat depressing a little bit as a commentator. Once you lose that A site, especially if you have a man disadvantage, that's it. You're done. You just tap out, you take your guns with you, and then you buy back up in the next round.
Exactly. There's very few situations where you try and make it work. ZywOo at least holds on to his AWP. Good shot onto Dupree, who was present in heaven. But absolutely, in this kind of situation, this early on, you've got to tap out. You simply cannot afford to throw these guns away. And I love the mind games and the decision making from Astralis with their 2 MAC-10s. We touched on this in the previous round about how they could just throw them into the gauntlet. And plus, when you're against a team like Vitality with ZywOo, you know at every given opportunity, he's probably picking up the AWP. And the best counter to an AWP is straight up aggression, especially on a map like Nuke. Get in your utility, get in the face of your adversaries, and just churn out the rounds. They can now trade up to an AWP. They know that Vitality likely will buy behind those 3 save weapons, and now they can slow the pace back down again.
Yeah, the problem with that, though, is that on Vitality side of things, they still have to use a lot of early utility because they do not want the risk of Astralis doing something like that again. And the fact is, Astralis are the sort of side that would do something like that again. So you already see the majority of their utility, or a lot of it at least, being expended just to try and deny. And ZywOo tries to make a play, but Mr. Consistent on the other side, Device, is going to find that opening pick. The Starman is down, and now there needs to be a response from the Frenchman.
That's great news for Astralis because, Tom, we had the fortune of casting Astralis against Fnatic, and Device, up until Overpass, was very, very quiet. His Dust 2 performance wasn't particularly impressive. So the fact that he's coming straight out with 7-1 and 172 ADR after 4 rounds goes to show that he's feeling it. He's shown up today, at least in the early stages. So that will be a little bit of a panic for Vitality. They still need to hold on to this round. They are still in this round, albeit significantly weakened without their talisman of ZywOo. And Astralis starting to pick up the pieces and start to move towards ramp where Shox is waiting. M4 in hand. And he decides at the perfect moment to actually back off. And because of the flashbangs and the smokes that he's hearing being tossed out, he can call to the rest of his teammates that they're here. They also may not anticipate him to be up close because he fell back. And it's 1 kill and 90 damage to S-Attack.
That was a tough correction. That was unlucky not to get anything else from it. RPK, though, rotates and drops the bomb. More importantly, he's going to force a push and actually manages to get a second. He may even catch the second player picking the bomb up. Unfortunately, S-Tag is going to be able to cross back into the site. Device even wins a battle with the Deeg. And now it's a battle of the low HPs. Just 33 remaining across the whole board. And while, unfortunately, the 3 of RPK is gone.
Device continuing to impress. Big entry onto ZywOo. But again, it's Vitality. They just refuse to go down without a fight, Tom. We saw this in the second round. They took 4 players down, albeit it was a force buy. And here again, they take down 3 and 2 very weakened members at the end. So they're making a go of this. They're at least keeping Astralis honest, but they still can't quite weather the storm. And the Danes demolishing Vitality early on with not much of a buy into round 6. That's a big shot from Apex, though. Not only takes the head off of Device, but actually tags Mages just behind him. And you've got to be careful playing against Apex with the scout outside, but Dupree peeks as he jumps for the nade, removes his head, and brings it back to a 4-on-4.
I just like the idea of him going, what was that, Vince? I need to be careful. Yeah, I think I'm good. I think I'm all right. I'll just catch him while he's jumping through the air. Magisk now even starting to style on the remaining players of Vitality. Sure, it's weaker weaponry, but I don't think they need any more confidence. They've spotted out Shox as well and somewhat baiting him in to S-Tag, who is still healthy as. And this is another time where we're actually watching S-Tag get off to a crazy start to a match as well. He's got $13,000. And we're going into round number 7. And then, yeah, we need a pause. We need a slowdown. Sure, the pistol... What? This is the thing that always makes me a little bit upset, is when you remove the X-ray and you realize what sort of shots these guys are hitting. It's just arse. Like, it just doesn't make any sense at all.
That's a pretty damning statistic if ZywOo goes down first, isn't it? Oh, dear.
Yeah, what's the stat of the round percentage of them winning when he dies first? Because that would be a cool comparison. If they win 91.7 when he opens the round, what is the percentage rounds when he is opened onto? Sorry, Elliot, for making you go and dig through stats to try and find out that one, but it's intriguing to me. That's the problem. Your stats make me want to ask more questions, which, if anything, makes your job harder. Maybe you should ask less or tell less, I guess. Easier job.
Doing a great job, though. I do really enjoy these stats. I really do. And now ZywOo on only 13 ADR will be adding to that mantle. Estetag goes down.
91.7, Vince. Here we go.
Yeah, there you go. We'll have to see if they can convert. It's a very high ratio. They don't play against Astralis every day, though, do they? And that could be a bit of a banana peel. Masuta, player that they touched on the desk that needed to perform, has heard some damage, actually, as dupree's toes get singed. And in doing so, he can fall back with a smoke in hand, but he comes out second best against Gla1ve. Apex gets Device, not anticipating the garage peak. Vitality maintain their player advantage, but the T's are now spilling downstairs. Shox with the Orc holds the line. And that could and should be good enough to yield the round.
On plant looking likely, but Astralis, they wanted to try and find something back into the round before allowing presence to be had. And the problem is they're being closed in from all different angles. dupree's going to have to do something fairly impressive, but Apex, he's facing the wrong way. It might be the tank to actually take the brunt of this peak. He's expecting dupreeh still to be there, and now they're going to try and pressure him together. The first is clean, though, and he gets back down the stairs. Another one for dupreeh. It's left all onto Shox to try and stop this man. He's been very impressive so far, and while Shox is tagged down to just 39 HP, he also doesn't have the kit, so the time is ticking too far gone. dupreeh can just play with his food at this point, and there is nothing Shox can do. dupreeh is not going to let him escape. He'll go down to the bomb if it means he gets rid of this man. 7-0. Fantastic round from Astralis, and specifically dupreeh.
It's a 2v4 Vitality. How? That's outrageous.
Where's your stats now, Elliot? Where's your stats now?
Oh, Tom, if Vitality are going to get any kind of a stranglehold in this map, which is already looking pretty bleak, they've got to convert those rounds, man. They get the first pick. Sure, Astralis brute force their way downstairs, but at that point, it's got to be Vitality. They come out with a bit of aggression to meet the oncoming Danes, and ZywOo is the spearhead behind this operation with his AWP. First one goes his way. There's no piece to really counteract, but Gla1ve again comes in with entries, and there's two of them. Right idea. Nearly takes down ZywOo. If he peeked in a little bit more aggressively, he would have also fallen. So again, ZywOo gets the opening pick, and again, Astralis comes straight back in. Device takes the head off Shox. Vitality already have to just tap out and save. And they're down 7-0, Tom. This is a nightmare.
The one thing that I am really enjoying is that the second that stat came up, ZywOo entering in back-to-back rounds, and they've lost both of those rounds. It's almost like the Astralis read that stat and just go, I aren't think that, and just carry on playing as if nothing ever happened. This is unbelievable. They are getting obliterated. And it's not down to openness. It's not down to anything else. We're just seeing incredible performances across the board. Device is running riot. It really is. It's more like ZywOo at this point. Like he's gunning for at least that #2 spot in the world. And do you know what? If he keeps playing like this, I think he'll get it.
Few things are as devastating and scary as an informed Device. And right now, he is having no mercy at all. Vitality are being demolished. Straight up decimated, and they have to call their second tactical timeout at 8-0 behind. There's already more rounds than Vitality. This is already more rounds than Vitality conceded in all this map and all the tournament. That's true.
16 sixes, every single one of them so far, in their favor, of course. Otherwise, that wouldn't make any sense. So, yeah, it seems like all the stats coming into this map sort of pointed to it being relatively close, and so far, Astralis don't really care. Yeah, this is terrifying. dupreeh 11-2, Device 11-3. Like these are two players that obviously dupreeh normally like in that entry role, very aggressive. If he's having this good a game, you're screwed. It's the same with Apex on the other side. If he's in form, it's terrifying. If you get him and Device, the double Ds, like, well, no man can resist them, you could say, Vince.
True. Vitality have the suit an Apex. I'm going to just try and steady the ship a little bit. They have them two players left, and yes, after a tactical timeout. Now, sure, in this round, they didn't really have much to play with. I think this is more of a detox kind of period and to talk about the next rifle round, which will be coming up in just a few moments, unless Masuta can somehow clutch this. I'm talking like the round's over because I assumed it was at 1v4, but the bomb still needs to get planted. Masuta doesn't have Kevlar, doesn't have a kit, and I feel like he wants to save the AK more than likely. But we are getting into that very murky and sketchy water of saves not necessarily being good enough, Tom. Or you need to start converting rounds. You need to start playing a little bit more desperately. Masuta, unfortunate timing. Astralis 9-0, one of the fastest halves of Counter-Strike that I've witnessed in quite a while.
Yeah, I feel like this is like the point of no return. It's like you've tried to charge across from your trench to theirs. You've got almost to their side of no man's land and you're trying to turn back. Like the chances are you're not going to make it at this point. 9-0 in favor of Astralis. This is meant to be the two best teams in the tournament fighting against each other. This is not, this like looking like an opening group match. Like Astralis just having a bit of fun, running riot. Sure, this is a map that they're fantastic at, but as said, like Vitality have looked really good and they're just getting domed. There's no duel they can take. Shox, Masuta, okay, here we go. They didn't get the opening duel this time, but seemingly it doesn't matter. Zywoo's also found a third, but Device is still alive and kicking. This might be one of the closer rounds, and just because it's Astralis in a 2v4.
They have already won a 2v4 though, post-plant. So Vitality will have to make sure that Lightning does not strike twice. Get some insulation put down. Shox, RPK, and Masuta have the task of trying to get their first round, while Astralis, without control of the bomb, have to go pick it up. The good news, though, it's not out in the open where the CTs have likely spotted it. So Vitality will still be respecting that the two Ts may be forcing themselves both together as a united force. Obviously, we have the fortune of seeing that's not the case, but Vitality, they have to give Astralis all the respect. Last time they went in a little bit too lopsided, they got punished. They got sprawled back out, and the map ever since has been so one-sided. Device, 20 seconds, coming up through heaven. Looks like A will be the site of choice. They have Magisk also making moves in A main. The timing probably working against the Danes. Device comes down, Masuta takes his head off, and there we go. Vitality, they've secured their first round, and what they're hoping is one of many.
Okay, well, the chat can stop going for the 16-0 spam, I'm sure was happening. That's a really nice shot from Masuta as well. Catches Device in the air. This needs to be a streak, though, Vince. Like, we're sort of joking, like having a bit of fun, because the fact is Astralis were 9-0 in the lead. Like, this is already a phenomenal half on the T side. Even for their standards, this is decent. So anything from here, anything more, and I'm pretty much calling this one GG. Like, they'd have to be incredible. Nice start, though, from Zywoo. Oh, okay, an even better one. He's looking for a third kill. If he gets that too, then we've got to start checking that mouse and gaming chair. But the fact is, he may have done the job already. Apex already on the lower bomb site. They're ready for this push. He's had a bit of a rough start, and it's not getting any better. He was waiting for them to come through the doors, and still Gla1ve finds the frag.
Getting deja vu, Tom. I'm getting deja vu. Zywoo's picked up 2 to kick the round off. And Vitality 3v4 with a weakened Gla1ve, but good post-plant positions taken by the Ts. It's one-dimensional on the retake. That grenade shreds RPK, Zywoo, and Masuta. Softens them up, and now they have to push through. Half of the bomb time is down. Now Magisk has dealt with one of the threats, and the Danes stand their ground, and they are looking infallible. Great smokes, great utility, and a great hold to boot. Vitality have conceded another horrific round. This was a 3v5, and they let it slip. Oh, no! Maybe able to take away the remainders. Masuta just about holds on to save the AWP, but it feels like a drop in the ocean, Tom. That's 2 key rounds that they have let slip. And look at Zywoo. He pulls off 2 absolute miracle shots, and they still lose.
I've got a new stat for you, Vince. Vitality have won 0% of the rounds where Zywoo gets an opening kill. That stat is plummeting by the second. Like, and it is getting ridiculous. Like, he got double opener outside, and they don't even come close to winning that round. Man just run in. The whole team has just gone pummeling straight into this site, and this round already looks done. We're only in the first 20 seconds. Dupree's going to put another one to the dirt, and it gets to the point where saving doesn't matter anymore. Like, this is their 11th round. Sure, you're probably not winning this one on the retake, but something desperately needs to change. They're already hunting.
Yeah, they got tons of money, and they know that Vitality's economy's in the bin. So if they can take some of these AWPs away, just one of them, that's going to have a severely crippling effect on Vitality's economy. Dupree, 14 kills, has been somewhat overshadowed by Device and how ridiculous he has been. But of course, as I mentioned him, he has an AWP shot on the side of his head. Vitality looking like they will hold on to all 3 weapons as the tag runs into the crosshair of Shox. But again, that's all well and good. You're still 11-1 behind. Elsewhere, though, Godsent are manhandling G2.
It is a bad day for French Counter-Strike. This is where, like, I feel like a lot of people in France right now are just like, you know what? I have been feeling a bit sleepy. I think I'm just going to have an early night. If the result continues this way, maybe wake me up if they start winning. I think that's a good way to go about things. ZywOo, oh no. He's been fairly successful with his aggression outside so far, but down to just 11 HP. P counts, he's going to get magic. Now, can we get the stat back on track? They've been good at winning rounds with him getting the opener so far, but the trades come back on A once again. A 3v3, a better scenario for them, but Dupree, I don't even want to know his headshot percentage at this point. He's been so clinical in these rounds. It's one of the best performances I think I've seen from him in a while. He's been unreal. And no, Shox has got a save again. That's now 4 rounds where ZywOo's got the opener and they've lost. We're still at 0%.
What I love about this performance as well, Tom, like we casted Astralis earlier on against Fnatic, and we were saying how passive they were. Sometimes they seemed like they're a little bit indecisive, maybe a little bit timid. Nothing of the sort here on Nuke. They are ruthless with their aggression. They're playing so aggro, they're getting in the face of Vitality. They're showing no respect at all. And Vitality, they're simply buckling. Like, they cannot withstand the pressure at all. They're hoping for some alleviation. They get it momentarily when ZywOo surgically removes 2 players with the AWP or gets the first pick. And then suddenly there's just 4 Ts in your face on A site and the round's over. This is prime Astralis. This is peak Astralis form.
Dupree is 16-5 while entering. That's unreasonable. I don't want to say unbelievable. There's so many words that you could put in this case. It's unreasonable. Like, that shouldn't be a thing. RPK, he's trying to take things into his own hands. I like it. Tanks aren't normally known for their speed, but that was a pretty swift entry from him. Another man advantage, another round that should be good, but a nade combo with Magisk AK. And, well, we're straight back into problematic waters once more.
Astralis, have a little bit of mercy, please. Have a bit of chill. Shox is now just being decapitated, and although some aggression round the back of Vitality maybe yields them one surprise attack, maybe they can end the round off the back of this, but the T's are actually going into A. They're going into the A site via Heaven. And Vitality, they seem to have realized this is a possibility, so we're going to have this very interesting, strange dichotomy where the CTs rotate behind the Ts, where we have both sides exchange teams multiple times. RPK now straight into Gla1ve. There's the drop from Apex, and the last player remaining will be Dupree, who's in unbelievable form, and he takes them both down in a split second.
Oh, just look at his face. Like, even he knows at this point. It's like, well, there's nothing they can do. There's absolutely nothing they can do. Oh my God. As said, I think this is one of the best performances I've ever seen from him. Sure, like some of the others were in slightly more crucial positions, like major finals and what have it, but this is ridiculous. Peak Dupree, just don't mess with him. Just DC, just leave, just head home. Most of them probably already at home, but leave and then come back home. Device, he's still going. ZywOo puts an end to his reign of terror, but there's still 4 more players they've got to deal with. RPK again is going to give them the man advantage, but that never seems to last too long. And again, it swings back into the favor. They need to kill off S-Tag, but he's got around the corner, and just look at the quick swing coming out. Magic's trying to help him. Shox now left alone. Can he finally put another round? A second at least possible, and there we go. Vitality will at least make it 2 as the half comes to a close, but Astralis have been unstoppable.
When you're by my side, I love it. Nothing in this world can hurt me. When you're by my side, I love it. We can leave the world behind us. You make everything about the world so much better. When I hold you in my arms, I wanna be here every day and every night. So much better, so much better.
Absolute domination, 13-2, and every bit as one-sided as the scoreline suggests. Vitality had chances. They lost a 2v4, a 3v5, and a ton of opening picks went their way, and they failed to convert. But now Astralis in peak form, looking to put a quick end to this first map and take us to Dust 2. But Tom, we know that Vitality are no slouches. Yes, they've been made to look very ordinary indeed, but we've had 2 ridiculous performances from dupreeh and Device to contend with.
I wonder if it will get to the point where teams will genuinely stop banning their permaban and just ban Nuke. Like, because what's the point? Like, no one's even come close. That's what Fnatic did. And they managed to win Dust 2 when it was picked, so you never know. Maybe that's the new play versus this roster. We'll see. Maybe Vitality have something truly phenomenal on the T side. Device, though, gonna have to switch guns. I thought for a second he'd get away with that, but it doesn't even seem to matter too much. Magisk has found a trade elsewhere. Apex gonna wait for him to reload and try and be a bit sneaky through the smoke, but it doesn't matter. Another kill comes up. Gla1ve trying to pull out some magic, try and give his team a lifeline, and they desperately need it, Vince.
Oh my god. I feel like I need to report this to this police, honestly, Tom. Like, I'm witnessing a crime or something. Like, this is absolutely outrageous. This is Vitality in the upper brackets It's not as if we're looking at an elimination match or Vitality have had a really bad performance. They've gone unbeaten, and they have looked almost immortal on their trajectory to this point. And they are being handedly swatted aside like they're nothing but mosquitoes. Astralis are having the run of the map. Everything is going their way, and they can put an end to this really quickly. Vitality have gone for a force, but even then, it's incredibly grim. Some Deagles, you've got a scout, and if they concede this, there'll be 13 map points. Mages spraying into Hut, not really spotting anybody. Gla1ve around the corner, getting himself one, sees the shadow of that secondary player, and we'll go back in for more. RPK getting tagged from outside, and Apex tries desperately to force a play onto the side, but he has been drilled by the M4, and the same is happening additionally to Shox. It feels to me, Tom, that we're headed to Dust 2 very shortly.
Yeah, no, I think I'd agree. We've seen recently on Twitch a lot of VODs getting deleted. I think this one might be tagged as not safe for work, and they'll have to remove that as well. Because this is, well, I feel uncomfortable watching this, I'll be honest. This is one of the most destructive. They're trying to spam them through the walls of Garage. Oh, Shox. I'd love you to win this round, truly, but it's just not going to happen. 15-2. I haven't seen a map this dominant in a long, long time, and I definitely didn't expect to see it today. Vitality have only let each team they played get 6 rounds on this map so far this tournament. They'd be lucky to get to 6.
Oh, I don't see how it happens, though. I don't see how they get an extra round from this point. You know, you
be a P90 rush.
They didn't have money for that. That's the really depressing thing, isn't it? They're taking a Atomic damage outside. The Vice up close with the FAMAS looking to put the final nails into the coffin of Nuke. But RPK, at least with the Deagle, will pose a bit of a threat. Getting round the back, he's been one of the top fraggers on Vitality. Goes in for another one, and there's Shox. So, okay, maybe there's some inroads left yet. Apex, aggression, looking to return the favor. Astralis was so rapid on their T-half, and now it's their turn to have to deal with that bit of medicine. Estetag goes down, and that is at least the 3rd round for Vitality. If nothing else, they're playing for a bit of pride at this point, and it seems like G2 have conceded the first map against Godsent.
Kenny with 25 kills as well. That's going to be a bit of a bitter pill to swallow for him, because it seems like he's performing, and normally when Kenny performs, G2 performs. So, yeah, a bit of a surprise, especially with Godsent having a bit of a rough tournament, to say the least. And I think, obviously, losing to Sprout earlier on was a bit of a surprise, but hey, they can bounce back now and get themselves a little bit of extra cash, more RMR points. That's what's on offer. Especially for the sides we're watching now, a place in the grand final, and that really does bring you a lot of points. Like, these two teams are currently right at the top of the board, fighting for that top spot. Don't know when the major may be. We don't know even if there'll be more RMR, but it's definitely good to get those points in a little bit early. Make sure that you're ready. The Vice has found an AK. We've seen some silly rounds lost from Vitality, that's for sure. This one would be the worst of them. The fact is, though, the man on the other side has been nuts so far.
Yeah, he's been a real powerhouse alongside Dupree. Post-plant now falls in. When you have this many rounds available to you and a buy into the next, I wouldn't even blame him if he went for this. I think his confidence is going to be sky high. Looking for some frags. Maybe if he picks one up, it'll lure him back into the site. Otherwise, he will just be piecing out and saving the AK. So I can really appreciate that. Don't play for the individual, play for the team. Play to get this done as soon as possible. Does mean that Vitality will pick up a 4th. And this hyper-aggressive style of Vitality does continue. But we go into very similar territory to the previous best of 3 between Fnatic and Nip. When coming back from a huge deficit, you know that you're one mistake away from a loss. And that just puts a lot of pressure on the shoulders of Vitality. They know from this point, it quite literally has to be a flawless T-half.
Yeah, there is a part of me that hopes they at least get like a few rounds together, like maybe even just individually, like get a few clutches here and there or win some duels, because there's a part of me that thinks that if they just get wrecked this hard in the first map, they're not even going to sort of warm up into the second one, whereas Astralis will just go in with ridiculous confidence. They like running straight through multiple smokes outside Dupree. He's been ridiculous so far, but you know what? It seems like there's finally a little bit of a punish. That AK on device, though. A scary prospect, but Apex slowly dragging himself back into the map. It's looking like it will be a 5th round unless S-Tag and Magisk can turn the tide.
Sneaking his way up via vent, spots Shox, dishes the fatal blow. All 3 of Vitality, though, are healthy. No easy targets to pick off. Apex, the only one of the 3 that's got a frag, and although Magisk does hold on against RPK, hold on a second. Is it going to be another 2v4 clutch? Masuda's had a quiet game so far, just 45 ADR to his name, but he could make amends here. If he can clutch this one out, but he goes down, and Astralis with another 2v4. The punch straight to the gut, as they've done multiple times, and Vitality have got to be gutted. It's not just the fact they lost on, it's the nature in which they lost.
Even Dupree looks like he was molding after that one. He was like, dude, how do we win that? Like, that was a ridiculous performance from start to finish. And every time Vitality got a foot in the game, it seemed like they almost kicked themselves out of it. There's silly mistakes, clutches being won. But I think the main focus in this, Vince, has to be Astralis are back. Dear Lord.
Oh, they're back with a bang. Dupree and Device playing like absolute madmen. And Dust 2, a map they struggled with previously, with performances like that. I'm not taking it away from Astralis at all. We'll cut to a quick break, though, guys. When we come back, we'll have the desk to break down that absolute massacre.